And boom, we are live. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. Take a seat and get comfortable. Hope you're all having an absolutely fantastic day so far. So, as you guys can see, things are a little bit different. It's dark. My ugly face is illuminated. We've got some lights on in the background. We have a coughing baby. It's all good. Yeah, things are a little bit different. And I've also managed to procure myself a bottle of this rather tasty toffee-flavoured gin. Because today we're going to be checking out the debut album called Tethered to the Wicked Domain by a band called Gorebag. So if you go onto my RDG Promotions, my Instagram account, and you scroll all the way to the bottom, all the way back to August 29th, 2020, you will see that the first band that I ever did a shout out video for, I ever mentioned, so on and so forth, was Gorebag. So to say that I am familiar with this band, to say that I'm affiliated with this band, would be putting it very, very mildly. I've been a fan of those guys since all the way back then. I've done a reaction video to Regurgitated Eyeball Soup, which came out 8 months ago, and Amputated and Refrigerated, which came out, excuse me, which came out 11 months ago. So I've been supporting these guys and sharing their shit and leaving comments and liking the videos and all that type of shit. Really, really cool bunch of guys. Really, really cool bunch of guys. Actually, they're from Finland, believe it or not. Most of the time when if you hear an extreme metal band's coming out of Finland, it's usually kind of Viking metal-y, kind of like operatic, kind of over the top melodic type shit. That's not the deal with Gorebag. That is not the deal with Gorebag, as you're about to hear. This is some brutal, gory, funky, groovy, nasty death metal. That's the best way to describe it. So yeah. Without further ado, let's get into this. We've got a bunch of new tracks on here as well, like a bunch of new ones. I've heard. Let's just get into it. Okay. I'm very excited about this one. I literally can't believe I've actually been listening to these guys since August 2020. That's that's out of control. Okay, window capture. Tethered to the Wicked Domain. Let's move this over here. Let's put this there. Okay, over this way a little bit. Okie dokie. Right, now before we start, let's pop open this. That's way too much. That's okay. Okay. Right. Gorebag. Tethered to the Wicked Domain. We've got a little intro called Chapters? Chapters? Yep. And then we have Abyss of the Wretchen. Let's go. This is gonna get fucking brutal. so filthy. Oh my god. Oh, that fucking bass though. Oof. That's a hell of a way to start. Let's go. Mix on this is so fucking good, dude. Legit, I thought the song was actually done there. That's cool. Amputated and refrigerated. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm keeping you.
layering of the vocals there. It's not just brutality for brutality's sake, you know? Pretty tight. There's that fucking bass tone again. Oh my god.
Flesh.
I haven't heard this song for a while, I'm gonna be honest, so I forgot about all those little parts that they sprinkle in there. It's so fucking good, dude. Ugliness to the riffs on this. Like, obviously it's very heavy and stuff, but there's always just like a lot of the riffs just seem a little bit off, which means that, you know, it never sounds like too orderly or too overly produced, if that makes sense. It's always kind of slightly chaotic and slightly shambling, you know? Some good shit. New track coming up. Let's fucking go. Ooh. Nice little blur there. That was good. Let's go. Gutter Crawler, new track. Nature of this one and those pinch harmonics, they're yes. You can just hear that bass rattling away in the background as well. It's very nice. Yes, dude. Okay, what's next? Oh, you guys went for a fucking treat. Bang your fucking heads. Cowbell. Like always, cowbell. Here it comes. We're going to blues. Let's fucking go. This might be the first song that I heard by these guys. I can't quite remember, but this is a fucking doozy either way. Enjoy. This section goes so fucking hard, dude. Oh my god. What a bop. Right. Ooh. That's nasty. That is nasty, mate. No. We don't need to listen to it again. Ladies and gentlemen, Gorebag, Tethered to the Wicked Domain. That was cool as fuck. That was really, really good. I expected it to be good. Okay. The first thing is, and this is, I've said this many times on this, many times on this channel, but I will continue to say it because it's still worth mentioning. Whenever I see an EP or an album from a band that I really like, or even a band that I'm just kind of into, One of my main worries is that the album tracks, or the, because sometimes you'll get a band that will release like, 3, 4 singles off an EP, and then you only have like, one song left on the EP or something like that, so, but regardless, that wasn't the case, that wasn't what was in this situation, but, I sometimes think to myself, have they just shown us all the tricks? Is regurgitated eyeball soup, is amputated and refrigerated, psyche of the debauched, all that type, fetid cave of entrails, is that basically all that Gorebag have in these, and the rest of these songs are basically just filler to pad out an album? Not only was that not the case, but I would actually say that the new tracks, namely, let me actually just name them, Abyss of the Wretched, Decomposed Reanimation, Viscera Showers and Funky Funerals, and Gutter Crawler. I actually think those are the best songs that Gorebag have ever made. Which is saying quite a lot, because I really like their older stuff. Like we're not, it's not from like back in like the fucking 70s or something, you know what I mean? But it's just, it's just stuff that's already been released. Those couple of tracks, I think it was Funky Showers, Straight in the Gutter Crawler. That was when they were at their best. The new tracks were more varied than their other ones. The mix seemed to be better anyway. Maybe that's a kind of recency bias type thing. Maybe I just thought that they sounded better. Maybe it's all mixed the same, but I thought they, just maybe the way they were recorded or something, but it just sounded better to me. There was more variety. The riffs were more interesting. There was more variety in the vocals. The grooves were better. The grooves were better. The slams were better. The fast sections were better. It was just all in all a step up, and that's really quite impressive for a band to release 3 or 4 singles and then release an album, and then in my opinion have the album tracks actually outshine the already good singles that they've released. I was really surprised by that. It was the first Abyss of the Wretched, when that started playing, I was like, whoa, holy shit, like these guys have really stepped it up. This is something that I think is not only Gorebag's biggest weakness, and simultaneously their greatest strength, but a kind of double-edged sword, if that works, all together with this type of music. So you'll hear really heavy bands start to incorporate some clean vocals, some nice kind of black metal harmonies, maybe some synth, maybe some symphonic elements, maybe some like, little acoustic sections to maybe like, bridge from, like Brutality. Let's do it this way. Brutality, maybe a nice little acoustic section, and then straight into some more Brutality, maybe some glitchy dissonance. You'll see it, a melodic section, so on and so forth. You can, if you listen to a lot of this music, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Super heavy bands, but they try and mix it up a little bit, and when they mix it up, it usually means that they put in some stuff that's kind of a little bit less extreme. That's not the case for Gorebag. I was wondering if we were gonna get maybe a little bit of black metal, some harmonies, maybe a little bit of synth, a little bit of keyboard, a little bit of like, some acoustic shit, whatever. I was wondering if they were going to throw that in there. They did not. They absolutely did not. The only time this album slowed down was to play some kind of horrific clip of someone getting just their shit well and truly fucked up. I mean, it was from nascency towards termination. I don't even know what the fuck was going on there, but that sounded unpleasant for whoever was on the receiving end of that. That was the only time that this album took its foot off the foot off the pedal, and that for me is a positive and it's a positive, but it's also a negative. I like the fact that this type of metal does exactly what it says on the tin. This is about as extreme a representation of metal as you're gonna find. Basically, there's no gent, there's no clean vocals, there's none of the stuff that I mentioned before. There's none of that. There's grooves, there's slams, there's absolutely just disgusting vocals, like vocals that just don't even, in some situations, in some places of the album, don't even sound like vocals at all. Like, never mind crazy vocals that you would get, like, and just pick your favorite deathcore band. No. There's none of that. There's none of that shit here. That doesn't pass for extreme here. Completely forgot what I was going to say. What was I just talking about? Yes. This is as extreme as it gets, and it's extreme metal in its purest form, and I respect that, and I think it makes the entire experience, especially when you're listening to an entire album, really, just by the end of it, you're like, whoa, my fucking god! I'm just really happy this isn't like an hour long or something. You know what I mean? It leaves you feeling it's an ordeal. You're quite exhausted, and you're slightly sweating by the end of it. I think that's awesome. I think that's really, really cool, and nothing I'm about to say will take that away. But at the same time, this style of music can sometimes, by the time you get almost half an hour, by the end of it, half an hour, right? By the end of it, I wouldn't exactly say you start to get bored, but it starts to become slightly samey, and that's not got anything to do with how Gorebag write their songs. There was plenty of variety, but some went really fast, some went slow, some had the bass was very prominent. I'm gonna get to the bass. Don't you fucking worry about that. The interest in pinch harmonics, it stopped, it started. There's nothing to do with Gorebag's writing, but if you're gonna stay really, really true to exactly what you're doing, there's only so much variety that you're gonna be able to do in these songs without bridging off into a black metal section, a gent section, whatever. There's only so much you're going to be able to do. So I think that's kind of. I don't think you can have one without the other. I think if you're going to stay if you're going to stay that crazily extreme and just crazily pure to what extreme metal is all about, then something that's going to happen is that there's going to be a little bit. The music's possibly going to get a little bit stale. Potentially by the end of it, you'll kind of feel like you've heard everything by the end, that bass was filthy, absolutely filthy. It was loose, and it was metallic-y, and it sounded like the bass, it was being played with like a quarter or the pound or euro, wherever you're from in the world, shekel, whatever. It was nasty. And you could really hear it in the mix, and that's definitely a problem with certain extreme metal. More of a problem with deathcore, to be fair, but sometimes with death, gore, slam, whatever you want to call it. The bass can kind of just get lost, but the bass it was really well played, and it had a nice ring to it. You could really, really hear it complementing the guitars and the vocals and all that type of shit. And then when it was allowed to actually. When it was allowed to kind of lead the dance, so to speak, on Gutter Crawler, I thought it worked really well, like really, really well. If anything, more bass sections would have been awesome. To be honest, like let the bass do it. Let the you could hear the bass, but when it was allowed to actually do some of its shit by when the bass player was allowed to let loose, you know what I mean? On is it gutter crawler? Gutter crawler, yeah. I mean, I thought that was one of the best parts of the album. You know what I mean? It was just really really nasty and metallic-y and just kind of sounded like just brutal, basically, really really brutal. The vocals. So the vocals are my least favorite part when it comes to this style of metal. Like I said, there's nothing that sounds like a tunnel throat, a goblin vocals, a guttural lows, that you would hear in just kind of name your favorite deathcore band, name your favorite metalcore band for that matter. There's a lot of metalcore out there that are now those guys are starting to incorporate really really like fucking heavy vocals into their music as well. There's nothing on that almost half hour that we listened to that can be compared to that. All of the vocals were either shrieked or raspy or just the only way to say it's like it kind of gargled, putrid, like soiled, wet vocals, basically, that they would just. Now, when I say it's my least favorite part, what I mean by that is that the reason I like Gorebag so much is because there are some slam bands out there. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but Extermination Dismemberment, sometimes their lead singer literally will just make one sound for a whole song, and he'll just do a slightly different beat or rhythm, but that's it. He'll make one sound, right? And like I said, these vocals aren't exactly my favorite style of vocals, but if it's a dude literally just making the same noise that I'm already not completely hot on, 30 seconds into the song, and I'm like, nah, I'm just going to skip this and just go listen to something else. These guys deliver so many different types of slammy. I mean, the people call these slammy vocals. I don't really think that's the right way to describe them. These vocals come from gore grind, as far as I'm concerned. I think that was if you listen to gore grind, that's good. That you kind of get that kind of swampy, soiled, kind of like gargly quality vocals from gore grind. I don't think it comes from slam, though slam does incorporate some of that, but it might be wrong on my history there. The variety is really really impressive. So even though that style of vocals doesn't really rev my engine, I really really appreciate the fact that it takes talent, and there was just such a wide variety of different sounds and noises, and just like I said, shit that doesn't even sound like vocals a lot of the time. I mean, it was really 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 properly nasty, and again, it fits really really well with the music. It's unrelentingly, brutally extreme. There's no cleans. There's no highs. There's no goblin vocals here. There's no kind of like Randy Blythe, fucking Corey Taylor mids or anything like that. No. There's none of that here. And even though I prefer that style of vocals, it wouldn't have worked here. It just wouldn't have worked. That's not the game that's being played here at all. So yeah, me not being a particularly big fan of those vocals doesn't mean that the vocals weren't good. I thought the pinch harmonics were really really good. I like the guitar playing in general. I thought there was some really really, I'm going to say chord progression, but I'm not sure if that actually makes sense. But the riffs were varied. They were some of them were so fucking catchy. I mean, I think at one point I actually started to do a feeble attempt at windmill headbanging, which my old ass neck is just far too decrepit for that. But Yeah, some of those riffs were just it's very difficult to be like, you know, brick shit heavy and really extreme, but also catchy at the same time. Like that's, you know, groovy, but nowhere near something that you can imagine a bunch of like fucking teeny boppers, like, you know, bopping to in some fucking shitty metal club. You know what I mean? That's very, very difficult to do. And there was some moments on that album where I was like, I felt like, almost felt like getting up and having a dance. It was so fucking funky, but without ever sacrificing any of the kind of like, you know, brutality. Yeah, really, really good stuff. To sum up, that was fucking awesome. I'm really, really impressed by Gorebag. Like I said, I've been supporting these guys since August 29th, 2020. I've been listening to their stuff. I've been chatting to them. You know, like, it's not like we're best friends or anything like that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be a best man at any of the weddings or anything like that. But, you know, I've been around their music for, you know, quite a long time now. And to see them actually release a full length, that's really, really fucking good, but also have all the album tracks, again, in my humble opinion, actually outshine all the other stuff they've made. It just kind of shows, like, you know, they are progressing as songwriters and musicians and players and, you know, vocalists and whatever, you know, all that. It's just it's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. One of my favourite things about promoting this style of music is listening, is watching bands release their first single, and then second single, third single, fourth single, and then before you know it, they're releasing albums, and it's like, wow, it's just really fucking cool. So it's awesome to be a part of that. Yeah, I'm super impressed with Gorebag, and a lot of the people in the comment section are basically just saying the same thing as me. Like, there's some people here saying they're not even into slam, or they stopped listening to slam years ago. But this is kind of like, kind of like pulled them in a way that, slam, brutal, death metal, slam, gore, groove, whatever you want to call it. Slam does it. It does the trick. There's loads of people that are like, like massive slam heads, and they're saying this is really good. And the slam community is pretty difficult to please, as far as I'm aware. So the album seems to have gone down a treat as well, as it should. So yeah, fucking awesome. Yeah, really, really, really enjoyable stuff. Yeah, I think the best way to sum up the album, taking aside, disregarding all the stuff that I said, if you just wanted me to sum it up in one word, it would be fun. The whole album was fun. That doesn't mean that, and not fun in kind of like a stupid way, like not cheap thrills. You know what I mean? There was there was interesting stuff going on. There was variety to it. But I think the best way to actually describe the listening experience of that album was fun. It was a fucking riot from start to finish, and I enjoyed every single goddamn nasty, putrid second of it. So, as per usual, guys, links to Gorebag's, link to the album that you just heard, links to their Facebook, Instagram, links to their YouTube page, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever else will be down below. Please remember, please, with cherries on top, remember to, when the video's finished, scroll down, click on every single one of the links, leave them a comment on Instagram, drop them a follow, let them know how much of a fucking good job they're doing. Do the same thing on Facebook, do the same thing on YouTube, go onto Slam Worldwide, like it, leave a comment, share it, play it to your neighbours, play it to your enemies, play it to your friends, play it to your children. Just play it in general, because you want to. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work goes into making any type of an album. But someone that's actually willing to take the time out of their life to make something as just really, really just like, brutally extreme as this, you want to give them a slap on the back in any way you can. And I guarantee you, even just leaving them a comment, letting them know how much of a sick job they're doing, these guys really, really appreciate it. So, one last time, Gorebag, Tethered to the Wicked Domain. Go check that shit out. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. Absolute pleasure. I'm going to go get drunk. and I'm going to go and jam that album a little bit more. Love you all very much. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.